No, fuck. I'm kind of leaning towards good idea for this one time.
The last thing we need are abominations running amok.
I knew you would have a proper grasp of the situation. I'll have a word with Cullen. We are reliant on his people, absolutely. There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
Do you pose a risk? That's a fair question with how you're talking.
When you say mages are a danger, are you counting yourself?
Of course I am, my dear. Every mage who joins the cause is taking a calculated risk, whether they know it or not. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
Here's the thing. This is a weird interesting comparison in my mind, because it's like, yes, fire is dangerous, but fire is also useful. Fire is practical, and fire can do good. It can be dangerous, but it can do good. As with all elements, air can do good, air can do damage. Water, yeah, you get the point. But, so I actually don't mind this comparison on its own, or like in general, once you start thinking past it, but as on its own, it's a bit weird. Templar. I don't know, I'm kind of curious to see how she responds to this. So Dalish don't have Templars.
The Dalish get along just fine without Templars or Circle Towers.
But
As I understand it, the elves limit their risk by refusing
that
to have
was
more
the
than
exact
3
response I was
mages in a
expecting.
clan. Tell me, what becomes of the Dalish youngster who is not appointed first or second?
Say what you mean.
If you want to say something about the Dalish, say it.
For those who value survival, sentimentality is not an option. Tell me something. You said once that you wanted to change things. What future would you build for mages?
Ooh, that's a weird middle ground. That's an interesting middle ground. I'm kind of curious to see how she would explain that. Because it's Bioware, and, you know, this is what it says. What ends up being said is completely different. One conversation, I called this game out on 2 different fronts, but I'm actually just kind of curious to see what she says. Like, I think I quick saved right before this, so if I actually want to go back and redo anything after this, I can, but yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what it says.
Mages shouldn't be kept out of the Chantry. Who knows the dangers of magic better than a mage?
A curious idea. Such twists and turns.
Also, it's a
your
very
mind takes.
non-answer.
It's something to consider, my dear.
I like how you both went, I hate you, too. Okay, I accept you. I hate you. I accept this. That's very much my relationship with it, yeah.
Yes?
Okay. Liliana, I'll be with you in a second. I just need to. Ooh. You okay, game?
Apothecary Adon
Can I help
says
you,
you'll have the
Shelby?
reagents you requested soon.
Didn't I already do
What
all
do
this
you
with
do
you?
here?
I'll make sure the Inquisition troops have food in their bellies and iron in their hands. Both are important. Lots of people expecting us to be heroes, marching all day to fight the demons. Turns out heroes need to dig latrines just like everyone else.
Okay, so it's the exact same. It's not
Farewell.
gonna change.
Make her go with you.
So I guess it's just already on here. Yeah, okay, there you go. Ta-da!
Nice work.
Ta-da! Liliana! You gonna give me a cutscene? No.
Your open support for the mages likely earned you enemies.
Yeah.
Our agents will monitor the situation. If the most opposed can be identified, we may still turn this to our advantage.
If we joined the Templars, we would have made enemies. No matter what, we're making enemies. No killing, Liliana. I'm not afraid.
People can hate me if they wish.
That gets us nowhere. The Inquisition is young. We need to build our support. Regardless, I applaud you for the courage to stand up for the mages.
Ooh. I watched you die for me.
In Redcliffe, you sacrificed yourself so that I could return here.
Of course I did. One small life in exchange for a second chance at history. I always loved a bargain.
It was still noble.
It was still a sacrifice, and still noble.
And I would do it again.
Yeah, no, that's done.
I'll leave you to your work.
Thank you, Liliana. Please don't turn into the jaded character. I like you better when you're not jaded. Varric! Varric? Are you gonna talk to me?
The
Oh, hi.
Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit that's a twist I didn't see coming. One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. But red lyrium and Ferelden, infecting people and growing out of them, that's bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my red lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
How fast does it spread?
How long does it take for red lyrium to grow? How fast can it spread?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting the stuff. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
What did you do to get, like, a permanent, like, cut across your nose, dude? You'll need to eliminate it.
We can't leave a single piece of that lyrium out in the wild.
I'm with you on that. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. I think maybe we should make that a priority. But that's enough doom and gloom. You just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
Catch my breath.
I was planning to put my feet up, maybe grab a nap. You?
Whatever I do, it'll be as far from Cassandra as I can get. Things should be calm around here for at least the next hour. Take a moment to enjoy it. If the world's about to end, I'm sure the Seeker will let us know.
Didn't I make a joke though, like, in the last session? It's like, we need to go do stuff. It's like, well, there goes my nap. I think I would like to make that canon where it's just my character just only wants a nap and nothing
Need
else.
something?
Questions for Hawk.
I read your Tale of the Champion, and I have a few questions.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go
Nope.
ahead.
Carry on.
Okay.
Need something?
Personal questions.
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Also inclined toward extravagant lies.
Thanks, Varric.
No problem.
Thanks for telling me
Need
nothing. The Red
I
Lyrium.
want to know more about red lyrium.
I'll tell you what I can.
Nope, okay.
I think that's enough on red lyrium.
Yeah, not really my favorite subject.
Well, been there, done that. Okay. Sarah! I barely use you, I'm sorry, but we don't need 2 archers. Boop, boop.
Well, that's mages all over. So many robes, I bet all of Ferelden lost their curtains. I'll just be the other side of Haven, just in case.
You don't like mages?
Do you have a problem with our new allies? With mages?
No problem with mages. I mean, you know some that are alright. My problem is magic. If mages sat on their hands, everything would be fine. I mean, yay, freedom. Great for them. Over there, away from me.
Nope. Okay, that's fair, because I barely use you, so
I'll
it's
be
not like
back
I'm going
if
to
I
get much
need you.
approval and disapproval from you.
Go on.
Boop.
You're right.
Uh,
I'm sorry. When you spend your days teaching the Charter Knights, it's too easy to get caught up in the organization. It's easy to forget the reality. Andraste leading her army, fighting for justice.
But why? That's the part that really matters. And if the Herald walked out of the Fade with Andraste's blessing upon her, that has to be a good thing, doesn't it?
Yes. A wonderful thing.
hi. Okay. Varric, are you not Varric. Solus, are you making bombs? Oh, hi, Dorian. Dorian, are you the one make... Why are you guys so close together? Hi, Solus.
So we have gained the mages. Excellent. They should be able to seal the breach. You are certain you experienced time travel. Could it have been an illusion? A trick of the Fade?
You're standing in snow. How are your toes exposed? Dorian is certain.
Dorian was sure. Impossible as it seems.
What an amazing gift. It is vital the Inquisition succeed to avoid the future you witnessed.
Did I see him there? I saw you there.
I'm surprised you're not more interested in your own future.
I know enough. If that future happened, then I, and Cassandra, Cullen and the rest, failed to stop this Elder One. Speaking of which, you should ready yourself.
For?
This Elder One. You have now interfered with his plans twice. Once at the Temple of Sacred Ashes, and now again at Redcliffe. A being who aspires to godhood is unlikely to ignore such an affront.
How are your feet not
What
cold?
can I do for you?
Oh, okay, bye.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Dorian!
The Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Halamsharal? Cows milking farmers?
I'll think of something.
Give me time. I'm sure I'll surprise you.
I suspect that's untrue. Unless you strip yourself naked and allow the Chantry to flog you into repentance. Now, that would surprise me. I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages in general, I mean. The Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given Southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
I honestly doubt that.
I don't believe that.
It's true. The conditions here are different. Southern mages aren't used to ruling. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper circles, all that rot. Then it changed. By inches. Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
Tell me about yourself.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
How's your shoulder not cold? I hadn't noticed.
Some more than others.
Some people have superior taste. Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
Your family's angry with you.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
You don't like Tevinter?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
But why do you care?
It just seems... So much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care. Deeply. About everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
Careful breeding?
What did you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
Why not go back?
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters. I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some magisters would disagree. But that's why we kill them.
Yep. That's enough for now.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Well, tell me about the Imperium.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. That's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
No. Go back to the digressing. Flying cows? Even if they didn't have wings? Explanation? Do mages truly rule there?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
I find it strange that your mages don't rule anything at all. Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
The Magisterium.
What is the Magisterium, exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
What are you then?
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
And an Altus is...
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
What about the Archon?
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
But mages do rule.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Is that true?
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Is that bad?
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Won't you ask you something else?
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
The Imperium has a chantry.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Okay. Is it really that different?
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.